We're going to talk about banning, we're going to talk about free speech, we're going to talk about our own personal perspectives, and we're going to have some fantastic videos as well. But without further ado, I'd like to invite each of my panel guests just to give a brief introduction, who they are, what they do, and why they care about this subject. Patrick Christys.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Fantastic to be here. My name is Patrick Christys. I do a show on GB News 9 p.m. to midnight, Monday to Friday. It's also a... Oh, thank you very much. Well, maybe a few viewers in, thank you. I hope to see many of you as well at the live audience shows we do every Friday. So, you get your tickets online, little plug. But no, thank you for having me. And look, this is obviously the most important topic pretty much in the world at the minute, freedom of speech. Without that, we might as well all pack up and go home. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into it.
I'm Patrick Schnecker. I'm very, very excited to be here. It's my first actual big conference panel, so I'm very happy. Representing Gen Z here, Patty, and I'm the third of the three Patties, the least important of the three Patricks.
And ladies and gentlemen, perhaps we can just reveal something. Patrick, England-Argentina match recently. Who did you support?
I plead the fifth.
They're ours, mate.
They are. I'm a producer for NewsForce as well and an anchor as well. We have a lot of shows with anchors all around the world, so I recommend all of you to go online and search us up, give us a good word, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Younes Sadaghiani. I'm a political analyst, broadcaster, influencer. I'm originally Persian, Iranian, but I actually really care about free speech because I know that's one of the pillars of what makes the West great. We don't have freedom of speech in the Middle East mostly, and the fact that it's being eroded in the West actually worries me because that's one of the first things dictators take away from you. So don't let your freedom of speech and freedom of expression ever be taken from you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Noah Sofio. Thank you very much for having me here. I've had a wonderful time in your country with some wonderful people, despite the lack of air conditioning here. But I'm here to fight for Gen Z. I'm here to fight for the future, our future. And I believe deeply that the young people, and we have a great young panel here today, are closer to the time horizon. They literally see what's coming around the corner before other people do. And so I built something in the United States to help Gen Z get ahead, to be able to lead us into this brave new future. And we're moving into the UK as well, and we're calling it the Arthur Network. So I'm here to help the young people of this country get ahead to help save this country.
Thank you, Noah. Yes, 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 yes. Right, well, we haven't got very much time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about free speech and getting banned. And I kind of feel like we should set ourselves a goal of at least one of these people being denied entry to the UK in the future, because there's been an awful lot of that recently, hasn't there? There was a gentleman, a British politician, who said that the immigration system permits abuse and it favors lower paid workers rather than investing in young people. Yes, a prominent British politician said that we risk becoming an island of strangers. Close to Enoch Powell, that terrible fellow, eh? Patrick Christys, I'm hoping you know the answer to this. Which British politician said those incendiary far-right agitation words?
I think it might have been one Sir Keir Starmer, wasn't it?
Well, well, well.
There we go. By the way, I'm glad to say that at some point in the near future, he will just be a pub quiz question.
It appears that Keir Starmer didn't know really what he was saying because he then rescinded and retracted on what he said. But Donald Trump is offering asylum for people who use their free speech in the US. I'm wondering, Patrick Christys, if you think that Donald should be offering Keir asylum for his far-right incendiary words.
Gosh, well, possibly. I mean, if he got him out of the UK, then fair enough. Yeah, ship him off anywhere, I suppose, really. But no, I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous what's been going on, really. And I mean, yeah, look, if I may, about the state of free speech, I mean, we do have a serious problem here in the UK, and it's not just about some of the really high-profile, prominent people that no doubt you're all going to mention here. For me, it's more about kind of the little person, the ordinary person out there, how they feel. You know, we've seen parents of a school child get their door kicked in by police for criticising the school in a WhatsApp group. We've seen a middle-aged woman have her door knocked on by police for criticising a local council. We've seen a former Royal Marine get arrested, charged, prosecuted, however, was acquitted by a jury of his peers in something like 17 minutes for posting something in the wake of the Southport massacre. Meanwhile, of course, we have people openly calling for jihad on the streets of Britain in a now banned terrorist organisation, Hizb ut-Tahrir, which, by the way, Keir Starmer did represent at one point in a European court. We were told that there are actually many contexts for the word jihad, and that was absolutely fine. But we do have a serious problem that people feel under threat, that are under threat and are being prosecuted for it. And we do need to push back on that because it is a slippery slope, in my view.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Well, we have 3 amazing videos from 3 incredible people today on the subject. I want to play our first one for the formidable, incredible, fantastic Liz Truss, Right Honourable Liz Truss, talking about the subject of free speech. Let's play video 1.
The battle for the soul of the West is no longer being fought in the trenches. It's being fought on your timeline. The mask has slipped. Authorities in Paris, armed with the bureaucratic dictates of Brussels, have moved against X. Offices raided, data demanded, algorithms scrutinised. The architects of digital free speech summoned for questioning. Not for violence, not for fraud, for speech. This is bigger than one country, bigger than one platform. This is about control. Control over what trends, control over what spreads, control over what you're allowed to see and what you're allowed to say. The public square has gone digital, and governments are trying to regulate the conversation itself. It's not just corporate offices, it's your homes. In Britain, the idea of thought police is no longer fiction. Citizens questioned, citizens investigated, citizens arrested over posts. They call it online safety, they call it harm reduction, they call it protecting democracy. But when governments police opinion, when bureaucrats define truth, when speech requires permission, freedom shrinks. When people begin to look over their shoulder before they post, when fear replaces debate, when citizens whisper what they used to say out loud, something fundamental has shifted. Free societies do not collapse overnight. They erode in increments. A rule here, a raid there, a summons, a warning, a fine, until self-censorship becomes normal, until silence becomes safe. This moment demands clarity. It demands courage. The answer to pressure is not retreat. The answer to intimidation is not quiet. The answer to restriction is not less speech. It is more. More transparency, more debate, more refusal to be cowed. We do not accept a future where permission is required to express an opinion. We do not accept a culture of fear disguised as safety. We will not be intimidated into silence. We will not self-censor our conscience. And we will not surrender the digital public square without a fight. We will speak clearly, openly, without apology, and we will not be silenced.
Warm words there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't get enough of Liz Truss, the fantastic Liz Truss, you can see her in our fantastic show on NewsForce, which she runs for us, fantastic discussions as well. But time is short. Now, I'm worried that you think because I'm a Patrick, and I gave the first Patrick a question, I'll go straight to the third Patrick over here, but I don't want to favouritize the Patricks. So I'm going to go to Younes Sadaghiani, who is an absolute rock star. If you're not following him on Instagram or the social medias, I do recommend it. Younes goes around the country and around the world talking to people. And Younes, I'm wondering, as you travel around the UK and as you do these incredible conversations with people about subjects you care about, do young people and do people you meet actually care about free speech? Because we know it's important to us.
Well, it depends, because I think the universities have done a very good job of indoctrinating people, and unfortunately, I think a lot of it is actually Qatari money from foreign agencies and foreign governments that try to brainwash people in a certain way. So there's actually a split, because there was a recent study out that Gen Z are actually more conservative compared to millennials and the ones that came before them, ironically, especially in America. So high school students, especially the males, tend to be more conservative. However, the females tend to be on the spectrum of socialism and far left. And I think sometimes what the university campuses do and the media, they use women's empathy against them. So for example, they say, oh, look at all these poor immigrants being split by their parents and their fathers. And then women naturally, they respond to that saying, oh, Trump is evil, for example, for not wanting illegal migrants coming to the USA. So I think that needs to be stopped. So I think it starts from the university campuses and how people are educated. We have to tell people that telling the truth is not offensive. Yeah? So I don't try to be controversial. I try to speak the truth as I see it, and if that truth is controversial, then so be it. I don't go out to offend, I don't go out to cause controversy. However, in modern times, somehow feelings have become more important than facts. And I don't think that should be our baseline. And finally, I have a lot of hope. I think Elon Musk buying Twitter, X, and Donald Trump being elected into power actually reverse that. And I think we just have to keep on fighting. As I said in the beginning, free speech, the reason why free speech is in the First Amendment in America is because if you don't have free speech, you don't have anything else. Everything else falls through. And dictators know this, such as Keir Starmer, the left, usually they use empathy as a decoy, as an excuse to hide their utterances. They say, oh, it's good for you. We're trying to protect you by trying to cancel these people, by trying to kick these people off social media.
And
yeah.
Younes, you're originally from Iran, as you said.
Yeah.
Striking, handsome gentleman. You were at the Unite the Kingdom march. How many times were you beaten up by the racists?
0 times, unfortunately. I was looking for a fight.
What?
Yeah.
He's too handsome to be beaten, but there's something's not working here.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because during the United Kingdom rally, there was no face coverings. I didn't see any violence. But for example, in the pro-Palestine rallies, there's always stabbings. There's people burning flags. Also in the Arsenal parade, people got stabbed there. In the BLM riots a few years ago, many people got stabbed. But that wasn't really reported yet. They put
Mostly
AI
peaceful.
cameras to...
Mostly peaceful, Younes, mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful, yeah.
Let's talk to Noah. So you really don't think I'm discriminating against people not called Patrick. Noah, you guys are doing some amazing things in America and you're bringing them to the UK.
That's right, Patrick. Gen Z is what I call the reclamation generation. It is not just reclamation of the past, of our heritage. It's reclamation of the future. In 57 years, we went from Kitty Hawk to the moon. Gen Z is frustrated because we know the reality that we are living in today wasn't supposed to be that reality. We had a bright future that was fettered away for entitlement programs and a litany of other things. But our enemies know that the agents of progress can be stymied if they're not allowed to freely speak. If our best and brightest across the United States and the West cannot speak their mind or write what they believe on a paper in the classroom, then we can continue to live in this reality and we will never seize that bright future. And so what we've built in the United States is a mechanism to combat the world we're living in. The world where if you say something leftist, you might get promoted. If you belong to a certain race, you might get a good job. How do we come back from that? And we are answering that question via something called the David Network, where we do free speech events, we do conferences, but at the core of what we do is we sit down with young students and we say, hey, you stand up for what you believe in the classroom, and we're going to train you. We're going to help network you, mentor you, to get you that job that will be denied to you if you stand up and say what you believe. And so we're helping young people get ahead in life to say what they believe, fight for what they believe, and we're doing that now in the United Kingdom with your best and brightest across your universities and helping them get into positions that control society so that we can let free speech flourish again.
Thank you. Thank you. Patrick Schnecker, we were really interested in the young perspective because I feel a little bit old and crinkly sometimes, right? I'm aching a little bit when I wake up in the morning. Do young people care about free speech in the UK and elsewhere?
I think we do. I am the reclamation generation, according to Noah. I'm 22 years old, so I'm definitely Gen Z. And as Younes said, we do. It does start in university. It starts before universities, in my opinion. It starts in schools. Yeah. I was the kind of kid who, in our history classes or politics classes or economics classes, was always kind of the odd one out. And I hate to be the person saying, oh, I was born in the wrong generation, yada, yada, because I don't believe I am. And I think people who say that, it sounds a bit cringe. But young people do certainly care about freedom of speech. In my opinion, Well, I certainly care about freedom of speech across the spectrum. I don't care what you believe. If you disagree with me, I want you to have the ability to say it and make a fool out of yourself. I don't care. You can say it. If I have a better argument, I'll counter. And I think we are seeing that increasingly in universities. Indeed, we have had British universities funded by foreign agents, certainly a lot of money from Qatar in the past few years, and they have influenced our curriculums across the board. At the same time, there is a very wide group of students across the country and across the West even that are starting to speak up. And I'd like to consider myself as part of that group of students. I like to consider myself as one of the ones who does speak up for what they believe, no matter the reaction they'll get inside the classroom, in front of campus if there's a protest or whatever else it may be. So I fundamentally believe, and I'm encouraged by the belief by young people in free speech.
Thank you. Yes, let's give him a round of applause. Why not? Why not? You never have a round of applause. A panel without a round of applause is a day like without sunshine. Patrick, I'm going to give you a kind of tricky question here. I'm wondering if you'll find it hard. What do the left get right about free speech? And what do the right get wrong about free speech?
Oh my gosh, I mean, where do we even start with that? What do the left get right about free speech? I honestly don't really know how to answer that, really. I mean, they seem very good at protecting their own free speech, which includes you being allowed to say things like men can be women and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. They seem amazing at protecting that. They seem amazing at being able to preserve the kind of things that they're allowed to say on some of these marches and really kind of rallying around it. I mean, for example, like when Palestine Action became a banned terrorist organisation, one of the things that they were very, very clever about doing was shoving a load of old and disabled people to the front of police barricades with signs like, I support Palestine Action. So I was going to clip that up, by the way, and I'm going to get arrested. But so I support Palestine Action. And then they were getting arrested and then they film it and all of this. And they're going, oh, it's free speech. They were very, very good at weaponising it. I think what the right get wrong about free speech, I would say, is that we've been too timid about it for too long. And let me just give you a couple of examples of this. And I don't blame anyone for this, by the way, because I understand that there are so many people out there who are not necessarily in the public eye in the kind of way that maybe we are. And for a lot of people, it might not necessarily be worth their while. Like, you know, if you've got a wife or a husband and kids to feed, you don't want to lose your mortgage. And I get that. But there are so many times that I've been in situations where people come up to me and they say, look, thank you for what you're saying. I completely agree with you, but I just can't say that because I'd be cancelled at work or I'd lose my friend group or I'd be bullied at university or bullied at school. And that is a real problem. And there's a great example here, actually, of a police officer who was forced to do a diversity awareness course. And he came out with this story after the Henry Novak murder. He was forced to do a diversity awareness course. And then at the end of the course, he was forced to give his opinion on it. And he said, well, I take a bit of a different view to what you're saying about how we should deal with radical Islamism. And they sacked him. So things like that is a warning to people, isn't it? Which is that, like, if you don't do this course, which is mandatory, then you'll get sacked. And then when we ask you about how you feel about this course and you don't give us the answer we want, we'll sack you. And you know, it's a very, very difficult situation. So I get that for people it is tricky to, and when I say, oh, we've been a bit too shy about it, we need to do more. I get that they will often try and take everything off you. But we do need to try to unite and do need to have a bit more confidence in coming out and actually like reclaiming our right to free speech. It's not only the mad lefties that have a right to say whatever they want.
But I'm still confused because Keir Starmer told Donald Trump that we have free speech in the UK. He sounded very convincing at the time. Right, well, do we like a little bit of spicy naughtiness from time to time, ladies and gentlemen? Do we like hurty words, sometimes naughty words from time to time? Well, we have one of the individuals who was banned from the UK in attending the Unite the Kingdom march just recently, and he can't attend for obvious reasons. But he can submit his message, which is one of the things about when you suppress, it always expresses somewhere else. So let's roll video 2 from Joey Manarino from the NewsForce team.
CPAC Great Britain, I wish I was able to be with you there today. My name is Joey Manarino, and as much as I would be there, I was told by your home office, run by Shabana Mahmood, that I am not conducive to the public good. It's interesting when they say that about me simply because I want to preserve Western civilization, because your home office considers Pakistani grooming gangs as something that is just, I guess, conducive to the public good. They consider people who no one knows who they are, who just arrive on small boats on your shores to be conducive for the public good, even as they take apart your welfare system and cause havoc in your streets. But somebody like me, who simply discusses the situations of the West and wants to see things get better, I'm banned from entering your country. I cannot enter. I am forbidden from entering. And your Keir Starmer, I'm not sure whether to call him prime minister, former prime minister, really depends since they kicked him out. He is in total agreement, which means the Labour Party is in total agreement. Free speech is apparently no longer a value that is held to standard in Great Britain. So I can't come in as much as I wish I could. And as much of zero threat that I pose to the United Kingdom, even though I lived there for 2 years, you would think if I'm such a big threat, they wouldn't have allowed me to live there back in the day, 10 years ago. But now I can't enter. So here's what I have to say. Whatever it takes to get this government out at the voting booth and put in a patriotic government, please do it. Expose these people for what they are doing. Expose them for the way the world now sees you. There are people banned from entering your country who never did anything wrong and simply want to speak. People who love your country. I truly love your country. I've been there at least 15, 20 times in the past 10 years. And like I said, I used to live there. Never created so much as a jaywalking ticket. But now I can't enter the country. This is what the United Kingdom is becoming known for around the world. Censorship. You're a country that once conquered half the world. And now you're known for arresting people for social media posts. Get this government out. Vote for people who love Great Britain, who love the United Kingdom, and make sure that you once again are able to take your country back. I hope one day to be there with you in person once this treacherous government no longer holds power over your incredible country.
Well, he was right about almost everything, ladies and gentlemen, except you can't jaywalk in the UK because we can cross wherever we like. We have that freedom. If we don't have freedom of speech, at least we can cross the road. Well, this has been, I think, the best panel so far, hasn't it? Don't you think, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah? What? Oh. But we gallop on towards our end. So I'm going to ask our panel, one Patrick and the two non-Patricks, a quick question, which is, we all love freedom of speech. We'd all love to have the First Amendment, but we have a parliamentary system in the UK, so that's just not going to happen. So how do we bridge the gap, and how do we get our opponents, people who believe that words and ideas are violence, to understand that freedom of speech is above all else the most important thing? How, in other words, do we start to come together? Patrick, Schnecker, Younes, and Noah.
You mobilize the youth. You mobilize us. We are the future of the country, not to sound very selfish and narcissistic and self-centered, but we are the future of the country and of the West. And if you want to change, it starts with us. And as much as it is our duty to gather and encompass all the good values and moral causes that many of you here stand for, it is also your duty to pass the right ones onto us. And so, not to use the forbidden term in this country and the US, trickle down. Many people are scared by that word, but it works like that. You pass it on to us, and you need to communicate it in a strategic way that makes sense to us and makes sense to people who disagree with you.
Thank you. Younes.
Yeah, so it's ironic because actually freedom of speech and freedom of expression are liberal values. These are libertarian values. And what we have now, we have the libertarian right and the authoritarian left. And it's quite similar to what happened to Iran, because it was the Islamo-Marxist or the Red-Green Alliance that actually took control of that country. And they always do this, and it always starts from taking away your speech. So these people that are taking away your speech are not liberals. They're authoritarians, they're Marxists, they're communists, they could be Islamofascists as well. And as an Iranian, we had this experience before. So in order for us to unite, we need to teach the liberals that actually free speech comes from your supposed doctrine. So don't abandon it. Keir Starmer is not a liberal. I personally am a right-winger, but I'm a libertarian right-winger, and that's what we have. And I think fundamentally what has shifted, because we had the conservatives that were trying to, you know, be the cancel culture back in the day, like get off my lawn type of people, you know? But now that has shifted. And in order to bridge that gap, we already spoke about the youth, but also learn from maybe the Iranian experience and also the experience of what happened during Poland, during the communist era. Political correctness. Political correctness meant, well, what you're saying is factually true, but it's politically incorrect. And that was used to cancel people, and it happened all around the world. Don't let it happen in the UK. Protect your free speech.
Freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences. Freedom of speech is an inalienable right that comes from God. But censorship is an action that comes from man. And so to quote a past US president, speak softly and carry a big stick. In realpolitik, I find it's much easier to negotiate with the left when you hold power. And it takes power to censor people. So my advice to the right would be, grow your power. This right of free speech does not grow on a tree. It's not naturally found somewhere and then naturally protected. You must take action to protect it and defend it. You must build your political power so that you can negotiate or have these friendly conversations with leftists on a more even playing ground. And then by doing so, you'll see more eye to eye, and you'll be able to protect freedom of speech.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, since we all agree that this is a historic panel, not only the best of the entire conference, but the only one with 3 Patricks on, can I ask you for a small favor in return? Yeah? Can I ask you to pull out your telephones, which you've obviously had in your pocket this whole time as you've been fascinated by this discussion. Pull them out. Pick up your favorite social media. Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky? Someone? Someone at the back with their hand up there, hiding. And just type in NewsForce. We are a growing media organization. We are absolutely die-hard, in-the-wool, fully committed free speech advocates. And we talk about the subjects you really care about as well. So add that to your algorithm and you'll be doing yourself a favor when you travel home this evening. You might even see the handsome gentlemen's faces that we have on the stage and many, many more, including Right Honourable Liz Truss and myself for that matter. So NewsForce in the search of whatever social media you follow, even Blue Sky. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make a big round of applause for this fantastic panel discussion. Patrick Christys, Patrick Schnecker, Younes Sadaghiani, and Noah Sophia.
Thank you.
Freedom of speech is one of humanity's most fundamental rights. It's the foundation of every free society and the safeguard that protects every other liberty we hold dear. Challenge power and exchange ideas is never something to take for granted. At NewsForce, we believe journalism exists to serve the truth, not an agenda. That's why we're committed to reporting the news unfiltered, asking the difficult questions, and giving people the facts so they can decide for themselves. Whether we're reporting from Washington, Brussels, Buenos Aires, or anywhere else in the world, our mission remains the same: to defend the free exchange of ideas and stand for the principles that make open societies possible. From here at the White House to every corner of the globe, we'll continue fighting for truth, for transparency, and for the fundamental right of every person to speak freely. I'm Macy Gunnell for NewsForce.